Welcome to Live Without a Car, the show where we talk about everything related to living a car-free life. My name is Amanda, and I have lived without a car for over a decade in Portland, Oregon. I'm also an economist and your host. Today, we are talking about the recent heat waves across Europe and the possible consequences of having public transit systems that are not equipped with air conditioning. In June 2026, many cities in European countries, including Germany, France, Italy, and the UK, set new all-time records well above 40 degrees Celsius, which is equal to over 104 degrees Fahrenheit. Back in 2021, in Portland, Oregon, here in the United States, we had a heat dome that caused temperatures to rise to 116 degrees for the first time ever. At the time, I had a poorly operating mini split air conditioning unit in my apartment that could not keep anything that cool. I actually ended up in urgent care that same week from heat issues, coming out with a diagnosis of allergy-induced vertigo. That event, among others, prompted me to move out of that apartment into one that had central air conditioning about 6 months later. I had been told when I moved to Portland, Oregon in 2016 that AC wasn't really needed, but I soon learned that that advice was old news. Since 2021, Portland has reached over 100 degrees many times, but this time I barely felt it. Why? In addition to central AC, my new neighborhood is covered with trees. We have high-rise buildings that create desperately needed shaded areas, and I have since learned to actively avoid commuting anywhere if possible when temperatures cross 90 degrees. Imagine my surprise when during all of the news about the heat waves in Europe last month, I found out that in addition to homes and many public spaces not having air conditioning, many public transit enterprises do not have it either, at least not fully. In June 2026, the RATP in Paris, the state-owned public transportation organization, published an article stating that although their trams all have air conditioning, their metro and buses as of 2025 are only 50% equipped with AC. They have, however, stated in the article that by 2035, they intend to have 100% of their bus fleet equipped with AC. I will include the link to the article in the description below. Now, why does this matter for a podcast about living without a car? Because safety is one of the biggest factors in whether people use transit over driving. I think we can also add comfort to that list. Think about the calculation someone makes on a really hot day. Option 1, a car with air conditioning, door to door, climate controlled the whole way. Option 2, a 10-minute walk to the station, a wait on a hot platform, and then a crowded train car that can hit well over 100 degrees Fahrenheit in a heat wave. That's not a hard choice for a lot of people, including myself, and that's the problem. One of the biggest reasons I personally never used city-operated public transit in the decades I lived in Orlando was because of heat-related issues. Many transit stops offer little to no protection from the dangerous Florida sun. Buses only come once an hour depending on where you live. So standing outside in 90-plus degree weather in areas with no protection is a recipe for an urgent care visit. I chose my car each and every time. And there's a ripple effect here too. When people default back to cars because transit feels miserable in the summer, that reinforces car dependency, the very thing a lot of European cities have spent decades trying to undo through great urban planning. It undermines climate goals, adds more congestion, and puts more heat right back into city streets through exhaust and asphalt. It's a bit of a vicious cycle. Heat drives people to cars, and cars make the city hotter. Before I moved to Portland in 2016, I had actually visited 3 separate times over the span of about 5 years, and I experimented with transit each time. The trams, buses, and Macs all had AC. I think if they didn't, I would not be as excited as I was to voluntarily give up my car. Having struggled my entire life with motion sickness, it seems now like a basic necessity for me. Having also visited many countries in Europe, as well as having family there, I am surprised I was unaware about the lack of AC on many metro lines and buses. Coming from the US, I automatically assumed that every transit option had AC. I was mistaken, and it is now going on my checklist of what to look for when you are thinking of leaving your car behind and moving to a new city. The good news is, issues like climate change can no longer be ignored. Various cities are taking action to ensure their rides are as safe as possible. Would you choose to give up your car and ride public transit without air conditioning? Comment below with your thoughts. Thanks for listening to Live Without a Car. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe and share with a friend. Until next time, walk slowly and enjoy the scenery. Ciao!